Hello, everybody. This is lesson number 53. It's called emotions. Everyone has emotions wrong. Emotions are not emotional. They're not positive. They're not negative. You don't have good emotions. You don't have bad emotions. Emotions are things that kept creatures alive. We evolved with emotions millions of years before we could ever think. Emotions have a giant hold on us. And that's reasonable. As an evolutionary biologist, you have to think about this. Suppose you're a cave woman and you see your little baby at the river and there's a crocodile there and you think, oh, that crocodile might eat my baby. I better get up and move my baby. The crocodile already ate your baby. But if you went, as a cave woman, went, and just snatched your baby up, before you could think, your baby probably survived. The more emotional you were, the more you survived. The less emotional you were, the less you survived. If you were a caveman and you saw some guy sniffing around your woman and you punched him in the head and killed him, you probably have children with that woman. If you went, hey, I don't know that I like that, but then before you know it, 3 months later, he bred your woman, and now they're his kids. He passed that gene on. The unemotional guy, genes died out. Doesn't matter. Could be snakes. Could be whatever it had to be. Our emotions kept us alive. Emotions are so much faster than thinking through things rationally. And you have to understand, they are incorporated in the very fiber of every cell in our body, of our brains. You know, it's only recently, in the last few million years, that we were able to wrap our reptile brain around some mammalian brain and think a little more rationally. But our emotions, if you want to see, you can look at this 2016 election and look at how emotional people are. You can look at, it didn't matter what it is, a man fighting for his child, a woman fighting for her child, for the person getting angry and killing someone to take their resources. That was a huge survival advantage. We are programmed to do that. If I saw a saber-toothed tiger, got terrified and leapt to safety up the higher branches of the tree, versus someone who saw a saber-toothed tiger and went, oh, I better get safety, the slower person died. We have been called generation after generation for millions of years and millions of examples to have emotions. Emotions are vastly more powerful, more ingrained in us than any thinking. So you have to understand that. Realize those emotions. They're not positive, they're not negative. Look at them in an evolutionary framework of how much they helped us survive. It's incorrect to think that emotions, are bad or good, or just realize why they're there. And if you realize where they came from and how they may have survived, emotions of jealousy, emotions of anger, emotions, a jealousy could be just territory. Anger could be you're fighting someone for resources. Fear is get out of there and survive. If someone saw a shark and they leapt out of terror, they did it quicker than someone who saw the shark, analyzed the statistics and probability of being bitten, and then moved. You just can't survive that. One tribe that's trying to fight another tribe, the more emotional and angry they got, they survived. This is where we are today. We are a biological organism completely ruled by emotions with this thin veneer of logic around us. I am still stunned at how illogical and unthinking people are and how feeling and emotional they really are. And this works, you have mob mentality, a group. Well, a group that has a mob of emotions probably defeated a group that didn't have that mob of emotions. So you got to look where that's coming from. We are emotional beings, and you can't, there's a cliche, you can't remove with logic an idea that wasn't put there with logic. Most people's ideas, beliefs are rooted in emotion, and they can't be taken out, challenged, debated with logic. They can only be changed with emotion. So someone who has an idea rooted because of emotion will never change that idea except by another emotion. Okay, and as I said, once I look at I look at everything as an evolutionary biologist and see where those came from. You know, a child who screams for more food emotionally got that food. A child who didn't get the food. A mother who felt emotional and unreasonably cared for the screaming child and gave them extra resources had that child survive, and the one that didn't. So everything from motherhood to loving to protecting your mate to bonding to all of these things are due to emotions. You know, every emotion we have is to motivate us to survive. You know, revulsion is an emotion. If I see a rotting carcass, I'm repulsed by it. That kept me from eating on it, kept me from getting diseased. If I had a disgust response, that might have kept me alive. If I had an anger response, that might have kept me alive. If I had a fear response, that might have kept me alive. You push someone in those directions for millions of years, and you evolve an emotional being that is surviving because of that. And that's where the idea, I have another lesson, but it's like kind of go with your gut. Your emotions are much cleaner and stronger and faster than your logic. I heard of an experiment where they took 2 decks of cards. This is probably not accurately stated, but it's close enough to get the idea. They had a blue deck and a red deck. And the blue deck was stacked against the player. And they played the red deck and they would play, and they play the blue deck and they would play. Well, they put a galvanic skin responses on the person and all this, and they noticed that after, say, 3 or 4 hands, the people got anxiety and emotional for handling the blue deck. But it wasn't until they played about 20 hands that they could actually intellectually verbalize, hey, I think that blue deck is unlucky. They were so much faster and more efficient with their emotions, but they couldn't articulate their emotions. That's one reason why you have to get in touch with your emotions. We're taught to squelch our emotions in some ways, but if someone gives you a bad vibe, say, there must be a reason for that. We often try to say, I want to give them an even break, or I want to don't judge people too soon. If you get a bad vibe off somebody, then there's probably a reason for that. And there's all those things going on where you have emotions, they call certain things. So you want to think about that. I also heard of a time, and again, I don't know the exact details. I read a lot and I don't remember exactly, but they had a couple, one of the war colleges had these young star general types, and they were playing war games, and they played against these Wall Street traders. And the generals, the young super generals, were playing, and they had their logistics, and they thought about their troop deployment, and they thought all this, and they played against these Wall Street trading people, and the Wall Street guys just destroyed them. And they were going on hunches. They were saying, well, that felt like a good move. And apparently the trading stocks they go too fast, and you kind of have to think you have to feel what's going to happen next, rather than think about it. And by the time they thought, well, there's 6 tanks over here, and the terrain is so this way, and the air cover is this way, it was too late, because the next round had happened and everything had changed. So you have to realize where your emotions are. This is one thing where training happens so fast, you emotionalize that. So that's some examples. You don't have, I said, you should reach where things become subconscious. You don't have time to get it all done. So that's what emotions are like. And emotions are not only stronger than thinking, they're faster than thinking. And they're more ingrained than thinking. And you can't lose them as fast because, well, actually you can. You can lose emotions fast, but you have to replace it with another emotion. And people that argue against someone emotionally using logic can't do it. So anyway, think about that, because that's a very important part about emotions. I hope this helps somebody, and I'll talk to you later.